Today's scripture is taken from the book of Psalms, specifically Psalm 94 verse 14. But before I read the scripture, please like, share and subscribe. It does make a huge difference to the Google algorithm, and thank you to my existing subscribers for your ongoing support. I'll read the scripture now. For the Lord will not reject his people, he will never forsake his inheritance. So this scripture declares that God will never permanently reject or abandon his people. And by his people, I mean you, the people that are currently watching this video. And the unspoken encouragement here is to understand that this is true even during the most stringent tests, trials and tribulations you have to suffer through. God is with us. His people are described as his inheritance, and as such are a valued asset worth protecting and preserving. So in spite of suffering, his chosen people are assured of the Lord's divine protection at all times. So let's look at the key learnings from this scripture. First off, God's love will never fail. In spite of appearances to the contrary, God is with us in the middle of trials and tribulations. So if God has promised never to leave us, he is more than good for his promise. And this should give you much needed comfort and hope in the midst of affliction. So knowing that God is with you in the battle gives you a completely different perspective on your period of suffering. Rather than a hopeless situation, you see this as a test or trial, something to be endured before restoration. Now, if you are slightly more faith-filled, like Apostle Paul, you'll take joy in the suffering as it brings you nearer to God and builds your character and endurance in the process. Above all, don't confuse divine correction with rejection. Sometimes God will allow trials to increase your faith and strip away limiting patterns of behavior, but don't confuse this with rejection. It's just the tough love of a caring parent who wants the very best for you. Divine discipline may at times seem harsh and tough, but it ends with God developing a better version of you to serve him. Try and develop a "this too shall pass" mentality in the midst of challenges. One of the toughest things you'll ever go through is to see the people that are persecuting you prosper, and sometimes their period of elevation seems to extend longer than you'd like. But what this scripture shows is that you'll emerge from suffering and harm from your enemies. It's just that this will happen in God's timing, not your own. And this is where you need to develop patience and have faith. Remember that God's promises are always faithfully kept. Have confidence in God's presence and divine justice. God will be with you in the flames like the fourth man in the fire. He will allow you to suffer but not be destroyed. Now, in the midst of all these challenges, let's try and avoid a repeat cycle. Learn from your mistakes. Learn from the challenge. The challenge is, in the midst of trials and tribulations, is to learn from them. The challenge is to ask God what you can learn from this challenge and apply it to your life so the challenge hopefully doesn't repeat, as they seem to if you don't learn from the experience. So this verse serves as a statement of God's faithfulness and abiding presence in the lives of believers who should take comfort that they may be oppressed and persecuted, but God values them, is with them, and he will help them and deliver them from danger no matter what storm or challenge that comes their way. So above all, let's use trials and tribulations to seek elevation and improvement and ask God what we can learn from our difficult days so we can avoid a repeat cycle.